All right, this is Cate Swannell for the MJA, and we're here in the wilds of Toorak with MJA's Editor-in-Chief Stephen Leeder to talk about our 16th of February edition. Hello, Steve.
Yes, Cate.
It's not bad, this, is it?
It's pretty good, yes. Nice country residence.
Oh, yes, it's a shame. 16th of February, we've got a fair amount on medical research in this one.
Yeah, we do. We've got a well-argued case for the Medical Research Future Fund, which was part of the May budget last year, where Mr Hockey announced that a fund would be formed to pay high dividends, many hundreds of millions of dollars towards medical research, in part supported by the proposed Medicare co-payment.
Yes.
And of course that's not necessarily the way of the future, and so the question then arises about the funding for the Medical Research Future Fund. Nevertheless, despite those difficulties, I think most people are agreed that this is a good idea. Future funds have their own dynamics, they've got their own structure, and they're not straightforward. But what about the present fund? I think that's one of the pressing matters. We have people applying for project grants through the NHMRC.
Yes.
That's to do work over 3 to 5 years on a fairly circumscribed topic, and the success rate of those applications is less than 20%.
Yeah.
It doesn't stack up. I mean, these are not dull people applying for research funding, and the point of it is that it's big business. Research these days into the new drugs, whether it's for melanoma, which we've got a feature article on, or the new pieces of equipment, and on the cover we've got a imaginative 3D printer that's manufacturing body parts.
Excellent, yes.
This is all big technology, and the underpinning economics of this is interesting. I mean, whenever a country goes to war, the economy surges.
Yes.
And the message is that if you start producing things, the economy lifts. Now, why not a concerted increased investment in medical research? Because it is big business.
Yes, it is.
Private sector is heavily involved.
Yeah. And Australia's got a good record of discovering things, but not a great record in distributing and producing them, haven't we?
That linkage through to production and manufacture and commercialisation has been a matter of concern, over 20 years to my knowledge. The very first Wheels review of medical research, commissioned by Michael Wooldridge when he was health minister, drew attention to the fact that you could have a virtuous cycle where you invest in research, generates commercialisable ideas, stimulates the economy, brings more money back into it. So I don't much like the analogy, but it's a bit like going to war.
Yeah. Yep.
So to say, we can't afford medical research. I mean, yes we can, because if you're interested in economic productivity and giving people worthwhile jobs, then we might, do it in medical research. Be very careful not to do it in war unless it's an absolute necessity, but here you've got something with the economic benefits of going to war and all the health benefits.
Exactly.
It's a win-win.
We also have a good piece on antibiotic stewardship.
Indeed, yes. Professor Lynn Gilbert from Westmead's provided us with some very clear guidelines and comments that I think are clinically useful in general practice, in fact in any form of medical practice where we use antibiotics to treat bacterial infections. And without oversimplifying it, the idea that you increase bacterial resistance if you don't complete 14 to 21 days therapy, Lynn Gilbert says no, that's an opinion but not fact. So we could be condensing the period of exhibition of the antibiotic without any risk to the patient and without any risk of bacterial resistance. So I think it's another step in the direction of more judicious use of antibiotics. So we're all the time saying we throw them around like lollies.
Yeah.
And there's been a very big shift in general practice in particular, a movement away from the use of antibiotics for almost anything, and I think that's been very salutary. This is another component of it, saying not only do we use them less,
Yep.
but when we do use them, we probably don't need to use them for as long as they've been
Okay.
proposed previously.
Sounds like another great issue.
It's a good issue. Looks
Excellent.
fun on the cover, and it's good stuff inside.
Excellent. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Kate.
Enjoy Toorak.